This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, plus special features and reports with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
It's dry, but it's not a drought. Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast. Yeah, the lack of rain is starting to be problematic, but it's not yet an emergency.
The conditions are drier than normal, but not severe enough to be labeled as drought yet.
That's climatologist Richard Ross Shaker.
We are falling definitely within the normal categories for our rainfall right now and for our drought conditions for New York State.
Pennsylvania is also not officially under a drought. Still, with it being so dry, Shaker suggests you water your plants and lawn at night to prevent the sun from soaking up the moisture. The next chance of any meaningful rain is not until next week. We could get a pop-up storm this afternoon in the Twin Tiers, but it will be isolated. Kev's got your weekend forecast on the way. If you like it hot, well, you'll love what he's got. The Israeli Security Cabinet today signed off on a temporary takeover of Gaza, all of Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says it's only short-term, however.
We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life. That's not possible with Hamas.
Beginning today, the IDF began a gradual military takeover of the Palestinian territory, starting with Gaza City, a city of 2 million Palestinians.
There has been opposition to Netanyahu's proposed plans from some hostage families who say an expansion of the war could endanger the lives of their loved ones still being held in Gaza.
CBS's Deborah Patta. It's deadline day for Russian ruler Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire in Ukraine. Europe's largest war since World War II has been raging now for 3.5 years. President Trump says if no deal is struck, he'll impose tough new sanctions on Moscow.
I'll do whatever I can to stop the killing. Every week is 4,000 or 5,000 people. So I don't like long waits. I think it's a shame.
Face-to-face talks between Trump and Putin could happen as soon as next week. A silent genocide is happening in Africa. ISIS soldiers are killing Christians and burning churches in countries like the Congo, Nigeria, and Mozambique. Christian human rights activist Alberto Miguel Fernandez.
Jihadist groups are in a position to take over not one, not two, but several countries in Africa. The goal is eliminating Christian communities. Join us, or you too will face annihilation.
More than 45,000 Christians have been displaced in Mozambique alone in just the past week. 60% of them are children. U.S. officials are hiking the reward money for information leading to the arrest of the president of Venezuela. Attorney General Pam Bondi says $50 million will go to anyone who can assist in the apprehension of Nicolas Maduro. She calls him a narco trafficker and says he's been directly linked to drug smuggling. Police in northeastern Pennsylvania say 2 officers will be okay after they were shot yesterday by a 61-year-old man who first killed his neighbor in her driveway with a high-powered weapon.
The troopers made it out of their vehicle and they were ambushed.
One officer was shot twice in the chest. The other was hit in both arms. That was Colonel Christopher Paris with the Pennsylvania State Police.
I will tell you, both of our troopers currently are stable, and with the help of the continued prayers of the community and their will to continue on, they will be with us, and we are extremely, extremely grateful for that.
After killing his neighbor, the gunman barricaded himself in a barn in rural Susquehanna County. He was later shot dead by law enforcement.
I am very thankful that we are not planning a double line of death funeral.
An EMT was also caught in the crossfire and crashed his vehicle to avoid the hail of bullets. What a scene there yesterday. We'll have more on that shooting in just a few minutes. President Trump is sending federal law enforcement officers to patrol the streets of the nation's capital. The move started at midnight in Washington, D.C., led by the Parks Police. The law enforcement effort also includes agents from the FBI, the DEA, ATF, and ICE. President Trump has ordered the Commerce Department to plan a new census. He notes people in the country illegally will not be counted in this head count. Constitutional scholar Paul Berman says that might be illegal, however.
I think the Constitution is pretty clear that it's based on people, not based on citizens.
Princeton University's Chris Kenny says the census is a massive undertaking and should not be rushed.
Unless you're trying to produce a much worse census, I don't think that it's really feasible.
The census is used to determine congressional representation. The head count usually happens once every 10 years. Still to come on the Noon Report, a Friday edition. It's race weekend at the Glen. We'll have a preview. Dead fish in the Great Lakes and the mail delivery controversy in Wheatfield.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. A toasty weekend is on tap. I've got forecast details coming up in 10.
All right, Kevin, thank you very much. What's up with all the dead fish? If you live near or have visited the shores of Lake Erie, you might have seen them, or perhaps you've smelled them. Hundreds of dead fish washing ashore.
We started to get the first reports of a fairly large fish kill event that was occurring at that time from Dunkirk to the Pennsylvania line in the New York waters of Lake Erie.
Jason Robinson with the state DEC says many of them are sheep's head fish, caught up in a natural phenomenon known as upwelling. It happens during the summer when strong northeast winds push cold water up from the bottom of the lake, and it is a fatal flip for some fish.
This just happened to coincide with when people are on vacation in the summertime using the beaches, and so there's a level of concern, but it's a natural event.
The DEC says nature will also take care of the victims over the next several days. Race fever has gripped the Glen. It is race weekend at Watkins Glen. 200,000 fans are there to witness firsthand the largest sporting event in the Twin Tiers. Schuyler County, New York Sheriff Kevin Rumsey says law enforcement will not be lacking at the racetrack this weekend.
Actually have 32 different agencies that we contract with, so we have quite a few that come. I think we're doing very well with our security.
And this camper's glad for that.
I feel good, because sometimes people get pretty wild up here,
Fran Mayer has been camping at WGI since the mid-1990s. Before that, he worked as a flagger on the track. Mayer explains why he never misses race weekend.
Camaraderie with the friends, and it's just a fun time, and to come up and relax and enjoy what the track offers.
For campers like Andrea Moralja, this is a generational family event. She's been coming to WGI since the 1980s.
Even though it's a 7-hour drive to get here now, we still make it work. But yeah, we make sure to come back every year no matter what's going on with as many of us as can make it.
Race weekend will culminate with the NASCAR Cup Series Go Bowling at the Glen Sunday afternoon. Residents of a neighborhood in Wheatfield, New York, continue to go without mail. That's M-A-I-L. Those living in the Whistling Straits subdivision have had to purchase a P.O. box at the post office in order to get their mail, since there are no curbside mail boxes. These Wheatfield residents say they're not happy about that.
You get the runaround, the developer says they're working with the town says they're working with the post office says they don't know what's going on.
We've reached out to everyone. I talked at a town meeting to the board about the situation. We've hired an attorney. We've been going through a whole lot trying to get this resolved.
The matter has caught the attention now of Congressman Tim Kennedy. community who's written a letter to the U.S. Postmaster General demanding that neighborhood in Wheatfield receive mail service. As mentioned earlier, a 61-year-old Susquehanna County, Pennsylvania man shot and killed his neighbor yesterday in her driveway. The victim's been identified as 57-year-old Lori Wasco. Susquehanna County District Attorney Marion O'Malley.
She was a member of our community. She was a worthwhile individual. She's someone who gave back to the community, and her loss will be felt by many people.
Police say the gunman then ambushed first responders, wounding 2 state troopers and causing an EMT to crash his vehicle while firing more than a dozen rounds from a semi-automatic weapon in his barn. As police backup was arriving, one of the wounded troopers flagged down a nearby truck in order to block off the road.
Still thinking at that point in time, after being shot twice in the chest, what can I do to secure this location? What can I do to make sure nobody else gets hurt?
Colonel Christopher Paris with the Pennsylvania State Police says both the wounded officers were wearing bulletproof vests. The attacker, identified as Carmine Fano, was later killed by police. Governor Shapiro called those 2 cops heroes. Colonel Paris says they're lucky to be alive. The union that represents New York corrections officers has released a final report on that statewide prison strike back in February and March. NYSCOPA admits while the strike was illegal, the state ignored warning signs that led to it, including unsafe working conditions for prison guards. The 22-day wildcat strike involved some 2,000 COs. Most have returned to work, but some were fired. With the state budget 5 weeks late, the Pennsylvania House is set to meet in a rare weekend session. Here's Family Life's Sarah Harnish.
State representatives were called in for non-voting session days set for Friday and Saturday, and for voting days on Sunday and Monday. It's expected the House will at least pass a transportation funding bill earmarking $300 million for mass transit. That benefits the Philadelphia area. The rest of the state will get a leg up in $500 million for road and bridge repairs. If it passes, the Senate is on call but hasn't said if it will come in next week to pass the transportation bill or work on the larger budget. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
All right, Sarah, thank you. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro may have some competition for his job next year. State Treasurer Stacey Garrity could be the first Republican to officially jump into the race.
I've made a decision, and there will be an announcement very soon.
Also in the hunt is State Senator Doug Mastriano, who lost to Shapiro in 2022.
Stacey has a long way to go with name recognition.
But some pundits predicted it's Mastriano who's the one who would hurt most the GOP if he winds up being the Republican nominee. Mastriano's confident that he is the one with the better chance of defeating Governor Shapiro next year. Human trafficking is one of the fastest growing crimes there is, and it is especially prevalent in Pennsylvania.
It is everywhere. And it's much more of a problem than people realize.
Now, state lawmakers in Harrisburg have authored a bill to address that problem. Democratic Representative Con Tarek.
House Bill 1286 basically helps hospitality workers, hotel workers identify the signs of human trafficking.
His bill requires those in the hospitality industry to undergo trafficking training every couple of years or face hefty fines. Dauphin County DA Fran Chardo says the number of interstates in Pennsylvania and all those truck stops make trafficking an ideal enterprise in the Keystone State.
And it is all over the place, but we do see a high incidence here.
Almost half of all the human trafficking cases in the Commonwealth happen in the mid-state region. The Cleveland Clinic is reminding folks that cases of the West Nile virus typically spike this time of year. Correspondent Mark Mayfield.
The virus that is transmitted through mosquitoes is most active through September, with multiple cases being reported now. Doctors at the Cleveland Clinic recommend that folks try to avoid being outdoors at sunrise and at sunset, the time that mosquitoes are most active, and apply an EPA-approved mosquito repellent. West Nile symptoms include fever, muscle aches, and sometimes nausea, but doctors say most people that get the virus are not going to have any symptoms at all. I'm Mark Mayfield.
All right, Mark, thank you. Apple Incorporated and Corning Incorporated are teaming up on a new $2.5 billion enterprise. The Southern Tier's largest employer and one of the world's biggest companies are coming together to build the glass that covers the next generation of iPhones and Apple Watches. Production will happen at Corning's manufacturing facility in Kentucky. Corning, by the way, made the glass for the very first iPhone at that plant in Harrodsburg, Kentucky, nearly 20 years ago. And it's International Cat Day, don't you know? Correspondent Bree Tennis.
The day is set to raise awareness about how cool cats are. They have power jumping abilities. They knock stuff over, and we're okay with it, and nap about 16 hours a day. It's a coveted life. And they aren't just cute. The College of Veterinary Medicine at Cornell University says petting a cat for 10 minutes reduces stress and anxiety in humans. I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, thank you, Bree. Still to come on the Noon Report, another heat wave on the way, the fastest growing sport in America, and tall ships on Lake Erie. This is the Noon Report for Friday on Family Life.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. I often joke that I have the spiritual gift of sarcasm. A Florida teacher years ago did not find that funny at all. Sarcasm is not a spiritual gift, she wrote to me. I read her comment and just thought to myself, well, no duh. Now, not only does that story point clearly to my own sin nature, it reflects the struggle that Christians have in this cultural moment. George Orwell famously said that in an age of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. And I believe that Christians who understand that this is the moment to which they've been called, that truth-telling is a non-negotiable part of their calling. In other words, it is every Christian's calling in a moment that has abandoned the very idea of truth to be truth-tellers. Now, the struggle is how to do this. Father Robert Sirico, co-founder of the Acton Institute, offered this once as a guide. We must be ruthless with ideas, but gentle with people. It's helpful, but the struggle is still in the trying, especially when so many people identify with the ideas that they hold. And some of these ideas are especially damnable and also reinforced by those in positions of influence, even political power. And yet, Scripture's perfectly clear that truth is always to be spoken in love. At the recent Great Lakes Symposium, which was entitled Truth, Love, and Humor, Jim Daly, president of Focus on the Family, talked about what that means. Here's Jim.
I believe in the fruit of the Spirit. I believe in the love of God. And so often I'll ask an audience, who came to Christ this way? Those Christians were so mean to me. They treated me so poorly. I decided to become one of them. Does anybody have that testimony? That's why the love of God is so important, because we have to allow the Holy Spirit has to use the way we engage people to crack their hearts open. But let's look at 2 Timothy 2:24 through 26. I love this scripture, and it's kind of the scripture I meditate on before I go into a battle like that. And it says, "And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but kind to most people." What version do you guys have? No. Kind to everyone, able to teach, patiently enduring evil, correcting his opponents with gentleness. God may perhaps grant them repentance leading to a knowledge of the truth, and they may come to their senses and escape from the snare of the devil after being captured by him to do his will. Isn't that an awesome? This is our job description, everybody.
Now, certainly, the line between sharp wit and cruelty can be quite thin, especially when it comes to fallen people like you and me. A surgeon can both harm or heal. Our sinful nature makes the former just as likely as the latter. However, our call to love should never be confused with being nice. But it's a common confusion, and it's led many Christians to capitulate to ideas that actually victimize people. Paul told Timothy that the goal of Christian truth-telling should be to set free the victims of bad ideas. To do that is an act of love, though it won't always be seen that way. Still, we should do it anyway, even if we're perceived as being not very nice. Don't miss the global streaming premiere of Truth Rising, Friday, September the 5th. Visit truthrising.com/Colson. That's truthrising.com/Colson. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint.
All right, John, thank you very much. Outside next, Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life forecast for this afternoon. There will be an isolated shower or thunder shower in parts of the Twin Tiers region. Otherwise, good deal of sunshine and warm today. Not as hazy as recent days. High temps 80s. Moonlit, hazy tonight, low temps mid-50s to mid-60s. And lots of sunshine, very warm to hot tomorrow and Sunday, with high temperatures ranging in the 80s and the lower 90s. It'll be cooler during the afternoons, very close to Lake Ontario and Lake Erie.
All right, Kevin, thank you kindly. It is Friday, folks. Congratulations. You made it the 8th of August. And this is the Noon Report on Family Life.
They once ruled the 7 seas, and even today their majesty on the water remains undeniable.
Let the tall ship sail, as the wild winds will. If I ever make it home, I'll tell the tale. Let the tall ship sail.
Welcome to Family Life Staycations, a summertime feature where we highlight great places to visit around the Family Life listening area. I'm Mark Webster, and this week we're off to the shoreline of Erie, Pennsylvania to preview Tall Ships Erie 2025, August 21st to the 24th. Our captain for this audio voyage is an experienced hand at the helm and at promoting the love of all things sailing. He's Captain Billy Sabatini, and he does all that as president and CEO of Tall Ships Erie and captain of the schooner Letty G. Howard.
I came to Erie June 1st, 2005 to become the third mate of the U.S. Brig Niagara. And over the course of 19 years, I've worked my way from third mate to second mate to chief mate to captain to executive director. They finally promoted me to the point where I don't think I can be promoted anymore as president and CEO. I actually started off in sailing when I was about 13, 14 years old on a ship called Tabor Boy in Marion, Massachusetts at Tabor Academy, where I went to high school. On the ocean in Massachusetts is where I'm from.
Right.
And then I moved to Maine, went to Maine Maritime Academy, which is effectively boat college. It's a wonderful boat college. And graduated there with a degree in small vessel operations with a concentration in sail training. So I have a degree in exactly what I do. Not everybody gets to say that, which is kind of nice. And being here in Erie, I sailed on Niagara for 19 years. We also operate the schooner Letty G. Howard, owned by South Street Seaport Museum in New York City. And we operate the ship through a programmatic collaboration with them. That ship's been here since 2018, and I sail as captain of that as well. So I run both the office and the ship. We started doing Tall Ships Erie. 94 was the first one that was done.
How did it get started?
That's an even longer story. But and then in 2010 we started them up again, and we've been doing them every 3 years since 2010. The festivals themselves goes back to Tall Ships America, the National Sail Training Association that really kind of leads the charge for sail training in this country and Tall Ships events. So I'm on the board. I'm one of the vice chairs of Tall Ships America, and I chair the Race and Rally Committee, which sets up the thing that is the Tall Ships Challenge. The Tall Ships Challenge is a series of port events in a particular region. So every year we'll pick a different region: Atlantic Coast, Pacific Coast, Gulf Coast, Great Lakes, and then coordinate all the different ports so that we can do races with tall ships in between. And the whole point is to get trainees underway. And trainees are kids. Usually we think of a trainee as being somewhere the high school, college age, but sometimes it goes up to about 25. And we'll take on trainees of all ages too. But the Tall Ships America kind of really does set up the whole process so that these ships can come into these different regions. They do an amazing job. Obviously I have a bias. I'm on the board, but it's a really impressive thing. And started in the Great Lakes, somewhat unorganized for a little while, but starting in around 1998, they got into the cycle of doing it every 3 years.
Take that much of a break just because it's such a big undertaking to throw together? Or?
Yes, it is. I mean, these events, they cost a lot of money. A lot of times people think that these events are fundraisers, and they are. We do try to raise money, but many of the port festivals, they're not money-making things. This is more about economic impact. It's about making that particular city important in the sailing world and about drawing in tourism, those type of things. Their hope is just to break even. Here in Erie, we do try to use this as a fundraiser to help sustain us until we can do it again. And the reason we need to be sustained is because we're we're conducting sail training programs on Lady G. Howard. We're also doing things with the Bayfront Maritime Center. We're supporting maritime education in any way we can. It takes a lot of money to do these things. These ships are very large, very impressive, and the traditional skills to maintain them are one of the things that we preserve. By supporting a Tall Ships Festival like Tall Ships Erie, you're actually preserving the art of traditional seamanship going forward into future generations. So whether it's the way we take people on the ships and to go sailing with them, whether it's a day sail, or right now we're doing a 5-day high school program. Most of the kids are actually pretty local, and they're out on Lady G. Howard right now doing that. Or if it's something that's more long format. We were very close to actually doing trimester and semester high school programs on Lady G. Howard. So maritime education and getting kids exposed to the maritime world is truly what we're doing by putting on an event like Tall Ships Erie. We want more people to recognize that not only is the maritime world accessible, it's a really impressive industry to go into. And we feel that the access to the water should be for everybody, and it can transform a person's life. An event like this is only possible when you have volunteers. The volunteers for Tall Ships Erie have shown up in force. I knew I was going to need roughly 250 to 300 volunteers. We put out the call about 2 weeks ago, and we have 360. This community supports this event, whether it's the city, county, the Port Authority, law enforcement. Everybody is supportive of what we're doing, and our volunteers show up to make it all possible. And I can't thank them enough for representing who we are as a community and who we are as a region when we're going to present ourselves to the rest of the sailing world.
Yeah. So let's talk about Tall Ships Erie 2025. We're getting pretty close here. I guess it could be different things to different people. What are some of the things people can expect when they show?
The first piece is the Parade of Sail. So if you can be here on Thursday at 4 o'clock, we'll have 9 ships sailing into Presque Isle Bay, which is a really impressive sight because you don't get to see that. It doesn't exist in the world to have 9 tall ships at the same place at the same time, except for the festival. If you can see that, it's really amazing. The Parade of Sail is free. There's no charge. You just have to be here. One thing we've been telling everybody, though, is just because the Parade of Sail is free for you does not mean it's free for us. And we actually have Erie Gives, which is next week. The Erie Community Foundation does one day of giving. So we're telling people, look up the Flagship Niagara League, which is our actual name. We don't use it that much anymore. But please think of us during Erie Gives. And one thing we've been asking people to do is, if you enjoy the Parade of Sail, if it's something that really moves you, even if you're not going to come to the festival, buy a ticket. It's $12. Effectively, it's a donation to say thank you for putting on this Parade of Sail. But it starts off with a parade, which is a really amazing, phenomenal thing to see. And then after that, there's kind of a bit of a lull while the ships get ready for the festival Thursday night. Then on Friday morning, everything gets kicked off. So we have 4 ships doing day sails. So you can actually go on the ships and go sailing out in the bay with 3 other ships sailing around with you, which is amazing to be a part of. And then there's 5 ships that are open for deck tours. So your $12 admission plus a $6 add-on gets you onto all of the ships. So it's $18, and you get to go on a tour of 5 different ships. You can talk to the crew, you can touch the lines, you get to be on the ship and really feel what it's like to be on board. And then we also have a maritime marketplace inside the convention center. So we have about 30 plus vendors. They're all going to be there, do a little shopping and find some things that might be interesting for you. And then we have a kids zone that's also going to be in the convention center. We try to give things for people to do, not just on the ships. There's a music that's going to be there. And then over at Dobbins, we have our VIP area, because we have 2 different levels of VIP, and also we're going to be doing a bit of a beer garden, our retail store plus soda, water on the top level of Dobbins. So anyone that has a ticket can go up there, grab a soda, sit back, and just take it all in.
You don't have to be an old salt to really appreciate it. It's just something for everybody.
It is, and the whole idea is about, like I said earlier, about exposing people to something they don't think is real. Effectively, we're nothing but magical pirate ships, right? But we're not. I mean, these are professional mariners. I've dedicated my entire life and my entire career to training people under sail, and it's a real job, and it comes with real risks and real world problems. So we want people to know about this, and we want to connect people to the past. You can have no idea about what boats are, what water is, or tall ships are, and you can come down and just take in the spectacle of it. It's like someone taking the space shuttle and parking it in your front yard, because that's how unique these ships are. Even if you're a history buff and you know everything about ships, you're going to love it. But if you know nothing about ships, you're still going to love it. And on top of all that, we have the world's largest rubber duck. That's another piece.
Say no more.
You know, you can see the world's largest rubber duck. So come down and check that out. And then after you're done with that, go check out the ships too.
Try to sum it up a little bit then. What do you hope the average attendee walks away with?
I want you to realize what's possible. Because if what we do is real and what we do is possible, what else is out there in the world for you? That's what I want people to get out of an experience like this. I want you to challenge yourself and think about, what can I do with my life? Coming here and seeing all these tall ship sailors and what they do with their lives, I want you to think what's possible with yours.
That's Captain Billy Sabatini, President and CEO of Tall Ships Erie, and the schooner Letty G. Howard, talking about Tall Ships Erie 2025, coming to the Erie, Pennsylvania waterfront August 21st to the 24th. You can learn more at tallshipserie.org. And this has been Family Life Staycations, a weekly summertime feature highlighting great places to visit around the Family Life listening area. Please join us again next time as we hit the road again for another Family Life Staycation. Come on!
All right, can't wait to see where we go next. Love this feature. Thank you, Mark. And you can download all our staycation destinations online at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. Well, if you have outdoor plans this weekend, some classic summer weather is ahead. Heat, sun, and little to no chance of rain. The expectation is that pattern carries us into early next week. Now, for this afternoon, speaking of rain, there will be an isolated shower or thundershower in parts of the Twin Tiers region. Otherwise, good deal of sunshine and warm today. Not as hazy as recent days. High temps 80s. Moonlit, hazy tonight, low temps mid-50s to mid-60s. Then lots of sunshine, very warm to high tomorrow and Sunday, with high temperatures ranging in the 80s and the lower 90s. It'll be cooler during the afternoons, very close to Lake Ontario and Lake Erie.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Finally, today, if you're in a pickle for something to do, well, we have just the thing for you. Family Life's Brian Query.
It's a sport that seems to be taking the world by storm, pickleball. But it's not a new game. It started back in 1965 when three men wanted to play a game of badminton. Missing the right equipment, they used a lower net, a wiffle ball, and plywood paddles, and pickleball was born. National Pickleball Day is celebrated on August 8th, thanks to pickleball instructor Deidre Morris, who started the day in 2021 to encourage people to learn to play. The popularity of the game increased exponentially in recent years, with the U.S. Sport and Fitness Association declaring pickleball the fastest growing sport in the U.S. Towns all over the country are hosting free pickleball events today, so today might be a great day to give it a try, especially if you've been going back and forth on the idea. Brian Query, Family Life News.
All right, thank you, Brian. And just like that, our time is up. That's our world. The world we live in, Friday, the 8th of August. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm Bob Price, Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.